Hey everybody. In January, I was out here with my buddy Dave Brigden, spent the weekend out here hanging out. He and I went and played some golf and stuff and took advantage of some free time I had that weekend to do a little walk around tour of Trona. As I said, that was in January. Then they had the big earthquake that hit on July 5th and did considerable amount of damage around here. It is October 9th. This is the first opportunity I've had to get back out here. I actually wanted to come back out a long time ago, but I just haven't had the time. But anyway, gonna walk around and look at a few things and see what we can see. All right, and just as a note, this is where I started the tour that I did in January, right here in the parking lot of the Trona Guest House Museum. You know, in the piece I did in January, I spoke about Esparza's restaurant and how it was once the Fox Theater in Trona, how good their food was and all that. Well, this is Esparza's now. After the earthquake, it is permanently closed. The building was pretty seriously damaged. It's no longer structurally sound. Now, just pulled up here. Yeah. This is the Cyril's Domestic Water Company. And this entire building is unsafe to occupy. Get this. That is, wow. This did used to be all together, and you can see the curb is also cracked. This is the Guest House Museum. All that concrete there has just been replaced, but you can see, get a little closer here, it's also closed to the public right now. You can see all that porch is cracked, the stairs. What a shame. It's not a masonry building. It's looks like, what a shame. And this is the main part of the plant. Hard to see any apparent damage to this. This place was pretty beat up already because it was old, but Dave did tell me that there was a lot of internal damage in the plant, a lot of floors, like you see the cracks and everything in these sidewalks. A lot of the floors in the plants were the same. The machine shop where he worked was closed for a few weeks. They couldn't work out of it. A lot of floor damage, retaining walls that were damaged. Posts, he said there were posts that held up ceilings that were still attached to the ceilings but not to the floors. It pulled them, the floor had dropped a few inches in a couple of parts of the plant where he was working, and the support structures weren't even touching the floor anymore. But walk back over here. Okay, walking back towards, there's the Esparza's right there. Walking back towards here, look at this. Is all cracked, and this piece here that I'm standing on has dropped about 2 inches both ways. This whole concrete is pulled away from the wall here, the outer wall. Do not enter. Unsafe to occupy. Unauthorized entry prohibited. Restricted use. People probably go in there and get things, but This whole structure has moved, looks like about 4 inches. Then this whole piece right here, as you can see, has dropped about 6 inches. And that piece right there has actually lifted up and is sitting on top of, right there, has moved to the east about, looks like about 3 inches up and to the east. That wall right there is completely separated between the two buildings. I think it just covers a walkway, but that is a big crack all the way down around there. And thank you to all the wonderful years of support from our community. We will continue to seek other options to bring Esparzas back to Trona. We love you all. Visit us at But they did a lot of, they had a lot of community organizing here after the quake to try to provide people who had lost things and had needs. People brought in food. They had a mobile barbecue unit out here. I think I actually had a couple of them. I know Dave was involved in it. He actually took a week off of work and got involved in helping the community out. They really pulled together after all of this. You can see that this concrete here looks like it had just been poured and this meter box put in here when this happened, and cracked. Ouch. That's all cracked across the street there. You can see that's all cracked and pulled apart there. And this is alongside Esparzas right through their mural. You can see all that damage there. And pretty easy to see why the building has been permanently closed. There's almost no way to fix that. That would be practical. You can see this is all pulled apart here. This door is, you can see that it's so far out of line. Those cracks there. Those ones down the walls. The door is so far out of line, the jamb has been tweaked where the door won't even shut properly. We had to put a hasp on it to secure it. Makes me absolutely sick to know that people came from what I understand as far away as Los Angeles to loot down here, and here and in Ridgecrest. Mostly, I was probably mostly in Ridgecrest. Gosh, look at that whole wall's cracked to pieces. There are always lowlifes, no matter where you are. If you're watching this and you're one of the people that pull something like that, I despise you. Crack up the wall there. Looks like the Historical Society Archive Center is still open. This, I believe this is the post office. It appears to be intact. And that concrete pad there is all busted up. I don't see any apparent damage on this side. This is back behind the water place. Dave said that most of the homes that were built with wood and stuff fared all right. Wood is very flexible. People had cracks in their drywall and stuff like that, but the houses came out okay. Theirs did. It's had some cracked stucco and such. But he said a lot of the homes that were made of cinder block and things like that did not fare so well. And this is the post office. It is not closed. They don't have a flag up, so I thought maybe they were, but this is a Thursday. I don't know what kind of hours Trona's post office keeps. There's the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office, and it is a masonry building. Doesn't look like it's closed. It appears to be okay. And again, looking back up at the plant. I always call this the main part of the plant. I don't know if this is the main part of the plant or not. I suppose it is. I know that there are 3 sections to this plant, and then the west end, which is the one way out there. It's not windy today like it was when I did the tour of Trona in January. So I'll stop out there and look at west side. It's my understanding. I don't believe west side closed. I believe it didn't have much damage, but anyway, move on. And this is the back of the guest house museum. Nice little mural there. I've never noticed this before. Never walked back here. You know, my tour, I didn't walk around behind here. I went around the other way. Bonanza Borax, T. Scott Sayer, 2004, titled by James Allen Sayer. Project assistants, Lucy Lewis and Keith E. Sayer Jr. Good work. Nice mural. 20 mule team. People playing baseball. Painting of the plant. I think that is one of the Searles brothers there. But you can see the damage up there. Those pieces fell off and are right there. Got a couple of guys up there playing golf. Dave did say that there is a 9-hole golf course somewhere in Trona but it's all dirt. I don't know if it ever had grass. Come out here and played. There's some more damage right there. Come out here and played a tournament at China Lake with Dave one time. And this is the other side of the museum, which is, I don't know if the museum is actually closed. It doesn't say anything, or if it's just the stairs over on the other side. Wow, you can see where this came apart. I don't see any, and this is all cracked here too. I don't see any signs that say that the plant is actually closed. Now over there, that is the security office, or whatever they call it, of the Searles Valley Mineral plant, and you can see that it has windows broken out. That building there, the concrete stucco building there, see if we can walk over and get a little closer. It appears that it's shut down too. And I did notice, after I said I didn't see any signs, there is a restricted use sign on the museum here. So I would assume that means it's closed to the public. You can only get in there if you have a reason to be in there. This is kind of bums me out. I wanted to come out here in November, go to the Gem and Mineral Show, but I'm wondering if they'll even have it this year. I haven't looked anything up. And never noticed this sign before. It's an old reproduction of the Auto Club sign. Ballarat, for those of you who don't know, is an old mining district. 26 miles from here, down in Panamint Valley. I've never been to Minnetonka. I'm not exactly sure where that is, but it's a little further than Ballarat. Rhyolite is on the other side of Death Valley. If you take Highway 178 through Trona that way, like I showed on my video I took in January, you'll run into Highway 190 out there that goes over the mountain into Death Valley, and instead of going towards Furnace Creek, you would turn left to go to Scotty's Castle, then make a quick right, go up through Mud Canyon, and Rhyolite's about 30 miles from there, just outside of Beatty, Nevada. Goldfield, you would catch Highway 127 that intersects Interstate 15 at Baker, but you would go north on that to Goldfield, Nevada. I plan on doing a little piece on Goldfield, Rhyolite, and Ballarat at some point. All right. Okay, over here I went up and talked to the security folks in the building there, and they said they have a very strict policy of no video or photography on Searles Valley Minerals property, but they said that I could come out here to the sidewalk and shoot to my heart's content. That building there, as I walked up in it, it is very badly damaged. All the supports for the upper floors right there are damaged. Stucco's popped off most of them. Get back, it's right under, if you look right under that sign, you can see that wall is pulled apart about probably 2 feet right in the middle. You know, the outside structure of the building seems to be intact, but obviously the load-bearing structures are not. There where that cone is, the sidewalk is buckled up about 8 inches. So, like I said, just looking at things from out here, it's hard to tell what all was damaged, but obviously a lot of things were damaged. Okay, that's Esparza's, is that building right there. Move kind of across the street behind it here to the Family Dollar. The Family Dollar is also closed. I don't know if it's a permanent thing. The damage to this building is not as apparent as Esparza's, but there is a lot of cracked stucco here. I don't know if the walls underneath it are damaged as well, but you can see that it popped the glass out of that window, and these windows here, it may be hard to tell, but they're very warped. They've got a lot of to them, under a lot of stress, so the structure underneath it or on top of it or whatever has probably been knocked off. My friend Dave, that's what he said, one of the things that happened to them 2 weeks after the earthquake, one of their windows just broke, and the window was just off enough to cause it to be under stress, and finally it gave. You can see here where pieces have fallen off the foundation. The foundation itself is cracked, and that is there's some separation here at the base. Oh yeah, right there and around that way a little. Not nearly as evident as it was at Esparza's, but the foundation at where the cinder block meets the concrete is cracked all the way down the building. But like I said, not nearly as apparent as the damage to Esparza's. And that is looking out. There's the Gem and Mineral Society buildings, looking out across Cyril's Lake. All right, move on. Well, I stopped here at the rest area in Trona just to take a leak, and boy, look at the damage. Big crack there, extends all the way under that rock over to here, and then there's another big crack right there, and this one is the sidewalk, extends all the way out to here, about the same. Yeah, this one kind of goes on about the same as that other one. More cracks in the ground here. The restroom facility is cinder block. There are a couple of cracks in it, but see where that's busted away at the bottom there. But evidently it's structurally sound. I'd have had to pee out by that tree or something. Just more damage. And I don't know if that's from the earthquake, but that light there, you can see it hanging down off that pole. And then that pole over there is leaning pretty severely. And as, wow. Now again, I don't know if this is from the quake or if the wind just blew all this stuff over the years, but all down through there are poles that are leaning this way and that way too. Walking around here, more cracks. There's one that extends back that way. They've done some pretty extensive groundwork here, it looks like, maybe covering some of this stuff up, I don't know. But cracks there, smaller ones here. It's funny how the stones have kind of shaken themselves into the cracks to fill them up. This one extends over to here. Oh wow, it keeps on going. And peters out over here. Quite a shaker. You can see that the little barbecue grill thing there for that little camp thing has fallen over. And over here on the other side of the rocks and sidewalk, you can see these cracks. That one there is very obvious. And let's go back this way. This one here is opened up about 6 inches. It's about, looks to be about a foot deep. It's crumbling under my feet. Better watch my step. But that crack extends all the way back there under that rock. And they continue on this way, a whole series of them. Right up to the fence. There are some over that way. I count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, 15, 16 separate cracks over here. I saw this a while ago and I thought, man, it moved these rocks over here. Gosh, I don't know that it actually moved these rocks or if they were actually moved by moved into place by equipment. Doesn't seem like it would shake hard enough to do that, but who knows. Then out here you can see this whole area right here. It's all cracked to pieces. Interesting. And that building right there is the Trona Branch Library, San Bernardino County. That is where our friend Michelle Brigden works. And that building there is the Trona Hospital and Clinic. Both those buildings appear to be open. I know the library's open because Michelle's still working. Anyway, looking back at the plant and moving on. All right, we're here at the Argus Railroad crossing of the Trona Railroad. This is right at the end of the yard. The plant is up that way. There was a picture going around right after the earthquake of this part of the railroad looking real shaky. It had dropped quite a bit. They've obviously done a lot of work here to get it back picked up into its normal position, and looks a lot better than it did in that picture. If I can find that picture, I didn't take it, it was just going around on the internet, but if I can find that picture, I'll post it. Anyway, when I did my walk around in January, I actually did a piece on Argus, but it was about 15 minutes long, so I didn't add it to the Trona video because I would have made that video almost an hour. But this is a place called Argus, overlooking Cyril's Lake. You can see out there where they've got the ponds flooded out there, ready for evaporation. And Argus runs down to the main road, to Trona Road, leaving town. I'm not going to get too involved. I do want to take a look at the rock place, so I'll walk around in front of it and check it out. This is up in Argus, up against the mountains, and I was curious as to whether this old rock house had survived the earthquake. It looks like it did suffer some damage, quite a bit of rock missing up there above the doors and windows and in the smaller building, but still standing. Gotta admire that. The corner from where I was, by that other rock house, the gentleman that lives in that house right there came out and was talking about some of the places that were destroyed here in this quake, and this was one of them. House is abandoned, obviously, and but you can see where that rock work collapsed there, and I wouldn't have noticed this. It's all surrounded by these trees. I'm glad you pointed it out, but that entire wall there collapsed. You can see the window box still sticking out right there. And also both of these walls collapsed, inward and outward. Like I said, glad no one was here to get hurt. I seen a bunch of cats scattering when I pulled up. I hope none of the kitties got hurt. This is another place up at Argus. Moved a little further down here in Argus, and this entire wall collapsed. You can see where it pulled the fence down with it, all the way around the corner post, everything. I was thinking this house was abandoned because it's all boarded up, but there's a motorhome down there and the garage is open. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. And you can see how the ground is cracked here and along here. A lot of damage. All right, we are out at the West End facility. If you don't believe me, there's a sign. But this is on the west side of the lake, West End. But I said that it didn't shut down, but doesn't appear to be much going on there. It's usually, as with the plant up at Trona, it is usually pretty noisy out here. It's quiet. I haven't seen any trucks come or go. I've been here about 5 minutes. I've never seen this much traffic on this road, except for when the plants are running and the trucks are coming and going. And I come out here quite often. I know there's a lot of repairs still going on, and construction in Trona. So I don't know if these are people doing shift change or what. It's about 2:45 on a Thursday afternoon. Who knows? I don't live here, so maybe it is like this every once in a while, but anyway. Pile of soap right there. But anyway, this is the West End facility. Well, I was gonna do a couple more pieces in Trona, but my phone died. I have a mobile charger, but I didn't feel like hanging out long enough to let it charge. I was getting late in the afternoon, and so I just shot this closing piece out of Cantil. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tour of Trona after the earthquake, and a little deal around Argus. If you have any ideas or comments, leave the section below. Shoot me an email, and we will see you all later.